Hey guys, as you know, my name is Justine, and today I hope to teach y'all a little bit about food. Wolfgang Puck once said, "For me, cooking is an expression of the land where you are and the culture of that place." Over the course of this project, I have discovered the astounding truth in that statement. In the past 2 months, I've researched and explored foods from around the world, and I've learned more than I could have ever imagined. I selected this project because I have a passion for cooking, and I hope to go outside my comfort zone and discover foods from regions other than my own. My goal was to find a recipe from a different country every week and research what role that dish played in the region which it was from. As the weeks went on, I simply did not have enough time outside of class to prepare as many meals as I had wished, so for the dishes that I could not cook, I added the recipes to my website and researched them. During the class time that I was provided, I found recipes that I planned to make and I put them on my website. I then proceeded to research the dish and find out what role it played in the culture which it was from. After school was when the fun happened, because it was then that I actually got to cook the meals that I had researched and give them a try for myself. During week 1, I researched the Spanish dish arroz con leche. Immediately, it was obvious that this was not unique to South America. Rice pudding, as it is called in English, has spread around the world, most likely due to its versatility and availability. For example, when my dad saw that I was making it, he was instantly brought back to his childhood, in which his mother would take leftover rice from the night's dinner and add milk and sugar to make for a special treat the next morning at breakfast. Before I learned the popularity of this dish, I was prepared to venture to exotic food stores in order to find the ingredients. But to my surprise, most of them were staples in my very own pantry, such as milk, rice, and sugar. Another delightful surprise was how simple it was to prepare. All I had to do was throw everything into a pot and stir. This led to my realization that many people in other countries don't have access to fancy ingredients and don't have time for laborious cooking methods. They simply use the basics that are available to them and try to make the best of it. Oftentimes, this is how delicious dishes are formed, from a medley of leftovers and scraps that somehow come together to make something beautiful. Here's a picture of the rice pudding before it was cooked. I added milk, cinnamon, lemon peels, salt, rice, egg yolks, sugar, butter, and ground nutmeg. I just threw that all in the pot and turned on the burner. After cooking that for a while, I strained out the lemon and cinnamon, then kept stirring until the rice began to cook and the mixture began to thicken up, which is what you can see here. It kind of looks like mush right now, but I promise you it tasted good. And finally, we have the finished product served in small ramekins with a little bit of cinnamon on top. For week 2, I chose a Jewish pastry called baklava. I then began researching the significance of this sweet and nutty bread. Baklava was originally enjoyed by sultans in Istanbul who had it made by their royal chefs. This would explain why today it is a treat enjoyed on very special Jewish holidays, such as the Jewish New Year, Hanukkah. All baklavas are sweet breads made with phyllo dough and nuts, but the type of nut varies from region to region. I've discovered that this is the case in many dishes, such that the overall concepts are the same, but certain ingredients vary from place to place. This is because as immigrants travel, they bring recipes with them, but unlike today's supermarkets, which have every food imaginable, these immigrants only had access to the foods that grew where they lived. For example, traditional baklava is made with walnuts, but in Iran, they use pistachios because those are prevalent in that country. Another interesting thing is that on the Jewish New Year, people will often use blanched almonds, which make for a bread that is lighter in color. People do this because they believe that a light pastry will foreshadow a sweet and bright year to come. This is similar to the way that Americans eat black-eyed peas on New Year's for good luck. In my time spent learning about baklava, I realized that All people have the same tendencies, it's just the way that we express them that makes us different. For example, even though we logically know that eating a certain food will not determine whether you have a good year or a bad year, people across the earth eat light-colored baklava and disgusting black-eyed peas. We do it because we're human, and it's tradition, because at some point, people really did believe that those foods brought them good fortune, and those beliefs were the only thing that kept them going when famine struck or floods destroyed their homes. Traditions like these are important because they are what hold us together as a culture and ultimately as a species. This is a picture of the thin sheets of phyllo dough laid out with nuts and sugar sprinkled on top. Here we have the phyllo dough rolled into logs, ready to be baked. Finally, the finished product, sweet, flaky, golden brown dough with nuts and sugar on the inside. For week 3, I chose a pancake-like food known as a crepe. Crepes became a popular food in France after their creation in the 12th century because they were made from a common grain known as buckwheat, which had many health benefits including high amounts of fiber and all 8 amino acids. White wheat flour used to make crepes today was not used during its early years because it was very expensive and out of reach for most people. Crepes have been adapted by different regions and have new names such as the pancake, which is similar to a crepe but much thicker. Throughout my research, I was able to infer that crepes gained so much popularity mainly because their nutritional value, given that they have very little flavor and are often served with an array of toppings. Even though food has evolved into works of art in some cases, at its core, food's role is simply to provide nutrients to your body and keep you alive. I found that the way crepes are prepared is similar to omelets, which are very popular in America. In my house, we make omelets because they're a healthy alternative to sugary cereal. But in order to add more flavor, we combine the eggs with toppings such as mushrooms, onions, cheese, etc. Crepes would be an interesting thing for any family to try. For instance, one Saturday morning when you're planning on making pancakes and smothering them in syrup and butter, you could instead make a crepe and top it with fresh fruit and honey, which is a much healthier alternative. Here you can see the batter for the crepes, which is a mixture of flour, eggs, milk, water, salt, and melted butter. Here's a picture of a crepe on the pan. As you can see, it is very thin and was extremely hard to flip. And as always, the finished product with a cream cheese filling and strawberries on top, sprinkled with a little bit of powdered sugar. In addition to everything I've learned about how food is influenced by the culture from where it comes during this project, I've also learned new ways of preparing food and how to utilize unique and ordinary ingredients. This project has spurred my passion for feeding people, and I look forward to my next adventure.